Tired of financial headaches? Are late nights spent balancing books instead of building your business? You need Labora Lee Bookkeeping. We take the stress out of your finances. Labora Lee Bookkeeping offers expert solutions for all your needs: precise bookkeeping, efficient payroll, and comprehensive tax preparation. We empower small businesses with accurate financial insights, helping them make smart decisions and achieve greater profitability. Stop stressing and start succeeding. Contact Laborally Bookkeeping today for a free financial assessment. That's Laborally Bookkeeping. Get back to business. Copyright Copyright disclaimer Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this video and on the Ambitiously the Podcast YouTube channel do not necessarily reflect the opinion of our and Ambitiously the Podcast YouTube channel. All topics are for entertainment purposes only. TVMA: viewer discretion is advised. All commentary is alleged.
Hey, welcome to the show. It is me, your girl Labora Lee, aka Cat Lee, and yeah, you have now turned into Ambitiously the podcast. Yeah, welcome back to Ambitiously the podcast. We have a lot to discuss this evening, and I felt like it was only fitting for us to discuss this thing that we're about to discuss. I said things, but not things. But before I get started, let me say some things. First things first is just join the conversation. You could do that by calling in, shooting a text message, or dropping a comment. If you're calling in or shooting a text message, the number is 443-551-5963, 443-551-5963. Or you could just drop the comment. If you text or drop a comment, it'll be read out loud. If you drop a comment, it'll be live on the screen. Listen, before I do this, let me just say this. There's a lot of ways for you to get in contact with me. Pick one. I'm going to show you. Get back to you. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I will. But if you need a nudge, just in case you need a nudge, Little nudge. Hit us up, contact at ambitiouslyent.com, contact at ambitiouslyent.com, or you can hit us up on our Gmail account, which is ambitiouslythepodcast at gmail.com. Again, ambitiouslythepodcast at gmail.com. Check out our website, www.ambitiouslyent.com, www.ambitiouslyent.com. While you over there, join the coffee community so we can really have, big conversation, but whatever. I tell y'all this all of the time. It'll be on the screen all night long. So just, well, not all night long because I'm not going to be here all night long, but for the remainder of the show, we can get. They are greatly appreciated in advance. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Um, yeah, let me make sure there's nothing else I want to say for right now. Nope. I think we've covered everything. So today is the wiretap. First, I want to address one thing before we get into the thing. Um, my partner in good is not here. He's not feeling too well right now. I'm not going to get into the details, although I know them. You won't know them because that is none of your business. But I will say that I am wishing him a healthy recovery. Um, to find out today, what he's going through is like crazy to me. Like I don't like it. I hope and pray that he feels better soon. So get well, Doc. Get well soon. Now I need him to get better ASAP. Not for the sake of the show, but just I want him to get better. Like I don't like when people that I care about are not feeling too hot. So yeah, get well soon, Doc. Anyway, let's get to some stuff. Let's get to some stuff. Let's get to the stuff. Well, the thing, some things at hand. So today we're tapping into a very specific, high stakes signal from the music industry. It's a battle being fought by two legends who've paved the way for women in hip hop. Um, but who are now locked into a grueling legal, oh my gosh, scrimmage to reclaim their own legacy. And so we need to talk about it. This is the wiretap. It is. We're listening in on an ongoing fight between Salt-N-Pepa, which is Cheryl Salt James, and Sandra Pepper Deaton. And the behemoth that is Universal Music Group, UMG, who we've been having a lot of legal situations with them lately, which is crazy. Like the more battles we go through, the crazier it gets. But when you think Salt-N-Pepa, right? You think the classics like Push It or Shoot, or let's talk about Schmacks, because I can't say that on this channel. I don't want to get in trouble. YouTube always gets me. They have an incredible catalog. Um, Incredible catalog. A legacy that literally rock and roll is Rock and Roll Hall of Fame worthy, which they were inducted into over the weekend. But today, a significant part of the music is actually off the streaming platforms, which is like insane to me. Insane. Like, what if I wanted to go listen to Push It right now? I can't even listen to it. Guess why? Because we're going through this stuff. Um, but why? Why is it off the music streams? Because the battle over master recordings is getting ugly. This isn't just about money, as one would perceive. It's about ownership, respect, and the fundamental right of a creator to control their art, which I get and I wholeheartedly understand. Like, I don't want anybody else being in control over something that I create. That's nuts. I mean, when you get into the record business, first and foremost, That's how it goes. But there is a certain a lot of amount of time that it should switch over to the creative or the artist, so to speak. But let's get into the core conflict 35 years later. So, the root of this entire dispute is a landmark piece of legislation. Section 203 of the U.S. Copyright Act of 1976. We've talked about ambition on this show before, and this law is a lifeline to artists who, in their ambitious early career hustle, had to sign away their rights to the recordings, unfortunately. And I told you that's just how it goes. The law basically says that after 35 years, which I said is a certain allowed amount of time before you can get your masters back, creators who transfer their copyright can serve a notice to get those rights back. They can. Um, it's a second chance for legacy artists who sign unfavorable deals back, and when they had very little leverage. Um, Salt-N-Pepa formed in 1985. Their first album, Hot, Cool, and Vicious, dropped in 1986. By 2022, they had filed those all important notices of termination to UMG, aiming to reclaim the rights to their earliest, most iconic works. Check this out. They did what the law permitted. They were ready to take full ownership of their art and their legacy. But UMG said no. Hmm. Of course they did. Of course they did. The core issue, UMG claims the recordings fall under a major exception in copyright law, that the music was a work made for hire. If it's a work for hire, the label is considered the original author, right? Right? This is the loopholes that we go through, which is crazy. So they're saying that the label is considered like the original author of the works because they were under the work for hire situation, which is so, man. All right, work made for hire. It's a work. If it's a work for hire, the label considers is considered the original author, and the artists have no termination rights. Now, as Salt-N-Pepa argues, their original agreement makes it crystal clear that they are not works for hire. That's what they said. They argued they created original musical works and this exception shouldn't apply to them. This is a legal knife fight that is now in federal court. Crazy, y'all. Crazy, 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 crazy. Um, this is crazy. So the escalation, retaliation, and the big pull. Let's get to that. This is where the story pivots from the standard legal dispute to a chilling industry warning. According to the lawsuit filed by Cheryl James and Sandra Deaton, UMG didn't just refuse to honor the termination notice, they allegedly engaged in a calculated act of retaliation. Child, child, child. So between May and July of 2024, the first two albums were suddenly removed from streaming sites. Hmm. That's how UMG got their get back. Think about think about that though. Think about it. Hits like Push It and Assault with um, a Deadly Pepper were just gone from Spotify. Just disappeared. Apple Music disappeared, and other major platforms just disappeared. Um, in the U.S., like it's crazy. The duo alleges that this was UMG's way of holding their rights hostage, a misguided attempt to tank the value of their catalog and punished them for daring to assert their legal rights. UMG, on the other hand, claims that they had repeated attempts to resolve the matter and offered mediation. I I wonder what kind of mediation they would have for this type of dispute, though. But let's get back to it. I wonder though. I have, y'all know I always got questions. Dot dot dot. I got questions. But the effect for Salt-N-Pepa is devastating. Lost royalties, a disruption of their legacy, and a clear message to any other artist thinking of using the 35-year rule. So unfair. Um, Dang, that's unfair. When the music is pulled, fans can't stream it, and the artists lose their cultural visibility and revenue that comes from the continuous play. They're fighting for their right to control the art that defined a generation, period. That's what the fight is for. It's not just about the money for them. So, the bigger picture and ambitious takeaway. This case is a spotlight on a systematic imbalance of power in the music business. It echoes similar termination battles fought by artists like Prince, and more recently, even acts like the Allman Brothers Band. The labels, as big corporations, have vested financial interests, which they have, in maintaining control of valuable master recordings forever. Like, they're not trying to let them go. They use every legal argument they can, with work for hire being the biggest shield. That's how they get you. But Salt-N-Pepa are not backing down. They said, "Nah, we fighting this to the end." And they said no. They're not just fighting for their own catalog, they're fighting to establish a crucial precedent. It tells the music machine that artists, even decades later, have a right to reclaim their creativity and their business. This is the ultimate lesson in ambitious long game planning. It is not just about an initial hit record. It's about building a legacy that you can call your own, or that you can own. Salt-N-Pepa is showing us that sometimes achieving true ownership, means that you have to push it all the way to the courtroom. No pun intended. Sorry. Well, definitely the pun was the pun was definitely intended. Um, Unfortunately, a lot of artists go through this type of thing. Um, like, even down to your Jay-Z's, he does not own all of the rights to one of the greatest albums that he's ever created, in my opinion, which is Reasonable Doubt. But that's not the label. That's because he owns a portion, Biggs owns a portion, and Dane, well, he doesn't anymore, but he did own a portion of that catalog. So, like, it happens to artists all the time. It is most unfortunate that this happens to artists all the time. Again, we mentioned Prince. That whole slave thing that he had going on for a minute, that was a part of it. Um, Even your biggest artists have all gone through this. And at the end of the day, again, as a creative, as an artist, you want to own your own catalog. You want to be able to, market it yourself or remarket it yourself, and take hold of what you feel belongs to you, which it does. You created the music. That is your voice on these records. It is you going on tour to perform these records, which made them popular. That is you going to these interviews that you probably don't feel like going to promote these records. Yeah, they put the money behind it, but they also made a lot of money behind these records. So then my question that I pose is, when is it your time to get money off of said records? When is it your turn to 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 reap the benefit? When is it your turn? And they keep holding on to it. And let me tell you another underhanded thing that they do. And may he rest in peace, because I don't wish anybody's demise. But this is something that even Ashanti was going through with Irv Gotti more recently, which is she wanted the stems for her records. She wants ownership of the pieces that she created or helped create, because he helped create them too. He was the producer for a lot of her records. Um, and he said no. And it's unfortunate. Now she could re-record the records, but she can't re-record them in the same way that she recorded them originally. So they won't sound the same, which means they won't have the same effect that the original record has. There are so many ways that they get over it. And then what they do, another thing that they do is that they will sell your catalog off before they give you your rights back. That's happened a lot too. And what they'll say to you is, well, if you can pay me what they're gonna pay me, then you can have your right. I mean, you can get it. Um, and actually, another artist who's gone through that type of thing, that particular type of thing, is Mace. When he went to Puffy to get his publishing rights and all of that stuff back from Puffy, Puffy said, no, if you can pay me more than this said corporation or company or these people can pay me, then you can get it back. But if you can't pay me that, then no, I'm selling it to them. And legally, they have the right to. But in this situation, UMG has owned their Salt-N-Pepa's rights for 35 years now. They haven't sold it. They still have ownership of it. And so what they're saying is like, all right, we've gotten past the 35-year thing. Can we actually, now we want our rights to our original works? And they're saying no. It was a work for hire situation. And they're saying, nah, we understood what we, and I think this is basically what they're saying. We understood what we were getting into originally when we signed it. Well, they didn't. I don't think any of the artists from back in the day, anybody from the 80s and the 90s, I don't think any of them, except for a chosen few, and those are the ones that like get deep into the game and are well connected. But I don't think anybody from like the 80s or anything like that understood what they were getting into. All they knew was, we're getting signed to a label, we're about to be famous. In their minds, we're about to make all this money. And the reality of that is, you don't make as much, like, you make your money from touring. You don't really make the money from the album. So the label does. And any money that you spend for these promotions, for the marketing, for the things, through the label is a loan. It's not an actual, like, you don't, that money, the advancements for arts is supposed to go towards those things, the marketing and promotion, um, paying lawyers and things of that nature. And it's an advance. An advance is a loan. So now you got to get out there and they have to recoup their money. Now, here's the thing with this particular case is that we know that UMG has recouped their money a zillion times off of Salt-N-Pepa alone. We know that they recouped their money. But at the end of the day, there was that loophole. They couldn't say anything. They had to wait 35 years just to get their rights back. And now they're here, and UMG is like, nah, this is ours. We're the author of it. And I'm quite sure. I'm gonna look that up real quick. I'm more than certain. Let me see something. I'm gonna find out real quick because I need to know. When it comes down to writers' credit, do they are they pl- written down as the writers, or are they is UMG the writers? So I got questions, and I got to do the research. I need to know. All right, let's see. Let me see. We got the second album here. Mm, and actually, that album, that record, um, was actually under the label Next Plateau. But I'm more than certain that that is a UMG subsidiary. I see personnel. Of course, Herbie Lovebug was the producer. They tell the artwork. Oh no, who is the artwork? But they don't say who the writers are. So that is the question. The album title was Russ Parr. The photographer. They talk about who that is. Cover design and concept. They talk about who does that. But what they don't talk about is who the writers were on this particular project, which is crazy. Let's see. For the very first album, again, the label Next Plateau. Talk about the studio. Producer Herbie Lovebug, of course. Um, but let's see if we can go down to this part. Let me see. I'm gonna get the facts on this because I need to know. Um, and they don't tell that here either. So this is a debatable argument in court, and I think that's why they feel like they have a fight because hold on, I'm gonna find out. I need to know. Sorry. And it's like the real. Let's be real for a second, right? Let's be real. We know that nobody in the label wrote those songs. Like they didn't write the lyrics to those songs. If anything, I could say a lot of other people. I could probably say maybe Herbie might have played a part in the lyrics to the song, but we know that UMG did not write those songs. Okay, here we go. So for Push It, they got the writer as hold on, the songwriter as Herbie. Like I said, and Ray Davis. Like I said, we know that they didn't write those songs. Let me see. For Tramp, the song Tramp,